What are some Toronto condos that are cheap and affordable but actually quality and not trash? The Toronto condo market is so vast, and often the cheap and affordable buildings are buildings that you want to avoid. They're cheap and affordable for a reason. But in the plethora of Toronto condos available, there are those Toronto condo buildings that are very cheap, very affordable, but actually provide a quality for end user purposes. So in today's video, we're going to go through some of the major Toronto condo buildings that are cheap, affordable, but quality, and buildings I would for the most part recommend. That and much more. Let's get to it. Hello everyone, this is Sam from SaberiSixRealEstate and Remax Realty Realty Inc. As always, back with another video for you guys here today. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Sam, a Toronto real estate agent working with buyers and sellers across the GTA. On this channel, we like to discuss all things Toronto and GTA real estate market oriented, whether it's building reviews, such as the case of this video, buyer advice, seller advice, market trends, market facts, market reports, and so much more. So if you find this type of content informative, feel free to get in touch with me. My contact information is on the screen. And furthermore, feel free to subscribe, comment, rate, and review. Your support in that regard is greatly appreciated. The Toronto condo market is home to some very expensive condos, whether we're breaking down downtown Toronto condo buildings on a per square foot basis, or condo buildings, for instance, in Mississauga on an average sold price basis. Often condo buyers, Toronto buyers overall, are kind of taken aback by the pricey buildings. Well, in today's video, I thought I would go through some condos within the GTA and Toronto that, in my professional opinion, having worked extensively with Toronto condo buyers, are not only affordable and lower priced, but also worth it because they're actually quality buildings you would want to live in. But before we get into the list, let me make a couple of very key premises, starting with this very key important preface, which is none of these buildings are perfect buildings. I'm not saying these are perfect buildings with no issues. I'm just saying for the price, they have very little issues and they're very conducive to an end user lifestyle. And a continuation of that, not all these buildings are great buildings that I would rank in the top 10, top 5s of these given areas. They're just merely good to average buildings that are affordable, to be contrasted to affordable buildings that are trash, very bad, very mediocre, and subpar. Another important preface, these Toronto condo buildings are more so meant for end users. Not to say that there isn't any resale potential with these units or these buildings. There is growth potential. For some, not really a lot. For others, a moderate amount. So the key demographic of these Toronto condo buildings that are cheap, affordable, yet quality are more so end users who of course care about how much their property appreciates, but it is not top of mind for them. More so, what's top of mind for them as Toronto condo buyers is the quality, the end user experience, a place they can call home. And lastly, of course, it goes without saying, but I just want to also preface that maybe some of you have had bad experiences with these buildings, and my opinion on these buildings are only as of the time of recording of this video, and really within the next year, because you might be watching this 3 years down the line from this, and one of the condos I might list might be a very poor condo by that point in time. So at this point in time, I am very confident in this list. As we have gotten the prefaces out of the way, let's get to the list, shall we? And keep in mind, it's in no particular order. Starting out with the first condo, 105 Victoria, the Victorian. This very quality building ranks 415th out of around 446 condo buildings in the downtown core in terms of per square foot price. Essentially, it's only the 416th most expensive building. On average, it's 27% cheaper than condo buildings within the 1 kilometer to 1.5 kilometer vicinity. And why is it cheap? Well, because first and foremost, it's an older looking building. It looks like a rental apartment building from the outside, and it's not really sexy. Of course, when we see modern condos built by big name developers, they're often chic and sexy, but that doesn't mean they're actually. So the exterior aesthetic of it kind of detracts a lot of buyers out there who are in a sense more after style than substance. And you'd be surprised, there are a lot of condo buyers, really kind and lovely people that I have worked with this year that truly care about the aesthetic of a building, to the point where they might prioritize it a bit above the quality of the building. Located at the immediate intersection of Richmond and Victoria, which in my opinion is one of its bonus points, right? Because it's centrally located, so close to Dundas, so close to Ryerson, so close to the Eaton Center. I mean, the major intersection of Yonge Street and Queen Street is also very close as well, a couple, maybe a minute walk away. Some will also point to the fact that it's technically considered in the Moss Park region, and it's a little bit closer than Comfort for Moss Park. But if you've ever actually visited this building, done any business in this building, or live in this building, you know that it's actually far closer to Eaton Center, Yonge and Queen, Dundas Square than it actually is to Moss Park. It just looks as if it is on the maps. So there's no doubt this is a very affordable and cheap building, but let me tell you why I think it's truly quality. First and foremost, we started off once again with the location. Location is absolutely fantastic, but actually on the inside, in terms of the demographics that make up the condo building, it's relatively low on the renter base. So it's mostly end user owners, and the renters who are there, the people who are residents of the buildings who are not owners, rather tenants, are normally very highly qualified professional tenants that work in the financial district or other professional services in the downtown core. Furthermore, the condominium corporation is utterly healthy. They have a very strong reserve fund, and the funds are managed incredibly well. And the property management company is very responsive in my experience and very, very professional. These are small things that, once again, may appear inconsequential to a lot of people, but if you are a Toronto condo buyer, have gone through the process of owning a condo, you know these very small things make a world of difference. Now, there are some small complaints to be had. For instance, when we take a look at this building, exposures on the east side of this building above the 5th floor, eastern exposed units in this building, for example, below the 6th or 7th floor, don't have the best exposure. They're exposed to a courtyard and you don't get a lot of natural light. Above the 6th or 7th floor, it gets a little bit better, but nonetheless, you're still exposed to a overground parking lot that is commercial parking. So once again, this goes back to one of my prefaces. None of the condos I'm going to be listing here are perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect condo. However, condos such as this one and the other ones I will list are absolutely value for your money. Low price, affordable compared to what other condos are in the vicinity, and you get a very, very high quality end user lifestyle. And let's move forward to the next condo, 676 Shepard Avenue East in North York. Primarily, obviously, the main intersection here is Bayview and Shepard, the Bayview Village area. I mean, the Bayview Village area is probably, I would say, top 5 areas most sought after communities and neighborhoods within the municipality of Toronto. As a fun fact, for instance, a lot of Raptors players live in the upper echelon parts of Bayview Village in, $4 or $5 million properties. The Bayview Village Mall is one of the most higher class boutique malls that there are. So you would assume 676 Shepard Avenue East is, building where for a 1-bedroom, you're looking at 1.1 million, $1,400 per square foot, because actually out of around 250 to 270 buildings, only ranks as the 132nd most expensive. And it's only an 11-year-old building, right? In the last year, it's been selling around 900 to 915 per square foot, depending on which sources you look at. I mean, comparing this to a condo building by Daniels, the Arc, the one that looks like a boat, for lack of a better term, for those who are not as familiar, right at Bayview and Shepard, that one sells above 1,000 per square foot. And if you actually ask me, it's far more of an inferior building. But once again, why is this one cheap, right? What's the catch here? Well, there is no catch. Simply put, there is no catch. The reasons often why people state as to why this one is on the cheaper side is very low on common areas. It only has a gym and a terrace for barbecues. Other than that, it has nothing else. And although it doesn't look old because it's only 11 years old, if you look at it from the outside, once again, to most people, it's not a sexy looking building. The exterior is not some marvel in modern architecture. But I can tell you for a fact, this building has a lot of character. The tenant base in this building is very low, bar none. I have never seen a building within the Toronto condo market and the GTA condo market that has as great a elevator service as this building. Anytime I've shown in this building or visited a friend in this building, and I've done so often, I have never ever waited for an elevator for more than a minute and a half maximum. That's the worst case scenario, a minute and a half. Because for 8 stories, it has 2 elevators, which is pretty good. It's not fantastic, but the elevators work all the time. And if there is going to be any outages or any services required, the property management company, which is another bonus for this building, provides advance notice. I mean, I could keep going on about the location besides the fact that it's in Bayview Village, but it's very close to the 401, very close to the 404, but you also have the ability to actually walk. It's a walkable area. It's not like most condos by highway on-ramps and off-ramps where it's pretty much you have no area to walk. There's a lot of ravines, a lot of residential streets, a lot of parks. It's absolutely fantastic, and I can keep going on about it. But what are the slight complaints here? Because once again, I want to be perfectly honest and transparent. There are some minor complaints about this building, such as the parking entrance configuration is a little bit tight. And once again, this is going to sound like a very minor issue. Why are you even bringing this up? But as a Toronto real estate agent working with Toronto condo buyers, part of my expertise is emphasizing the small details that seem insignificant, but in reality have a huge material impact on your day-to-day living. In this case, being the parking configuration. The underground parking entrance is very, very tight. But other than that, I cannot think of any other downside to this building. Once again, quiet end user lifestyle provides you with an opportunity of appreciation, sure, yet slower than other buildings in the area. Amazing property management company and amazing resident base. For only $900 per square foot, where every other building in this area, you're looking at $1,000 to $1,200 per square foot. Moving forward, let's swing from all the way to Toronto East, Shepard and Bayview, to Etobicoke, and let's focus on 3 Rowntree. The next Toronto condo building that I want to bring to your attention that is cheap, affordable, perfect for first-time home buyers, yet quality, not trash, not to be avoided. And by the way, I made a list of Toronto condo buildings everyone in my professional opinion should avoid, so you should definitely check out that video and to contrast with this video. Now, this is probably one of the cheapest buildings we're going to be taking a look at today, because you're only looking at $650 to $700 per square foot. In some instance, $710, depending on the unit type and the month we're really looking at. But that $650 to $710 range, I'm very confident in. And that's very, very cheap. And understand, your alarm bells might be going off. Why is it so cheap? Well, the reason you can purchase a 2-bedroom unit in this building, 1,100 square feet, for around $550,000 to $600,000 is because the immediate location is less than ideal. The immediate location is a little bit higher than you would want on crime, and although it has made significant strides in recent years, it does not have a good reputation. Here, of course, we're looking at the major intersection for this building being Kipling and Finch. But as I will explain to you right now, it is a very, very, very great option for newcomers who are potentially first-time home buyers, yet are looking for something family-friendly and end-user friendly. Because although the extended vicinity is in a not-so-desirable area, 3 Rowntree, along with the 2 other sister buildings, so it's 3 main buildings, are in a gated community. So you have the highest degree of protection, you have the highest degree of security service, where visitors, before even they get access to the building lobby, before they even get access to the driveway that leads into the building, have to go through a gate. And once you are in that gate, and I'm speaking as someone who has friends in this building, I've done deals in this building, and by the way, I've done deals in not all of these buildings, but most of these buildings I've discussed. That's how you know I don't go purely based on the numbers as a Toronto real estate agent. I also go based upon my extensive experience. Once you are in those gates, it's absolutely one of the most suitable options for buyers who are after family-friendly, community-style style condominiums. Because within the gates, you have tennis courts, you have running tracks, you have pickleball courts, one of the largest party rooms I've seen, and all three buildings actually back onto a ravine, a beautiful lush green ravine. And this is not to even talk about the fact that once again, you get very large units in terms of square footage at very low prices in terms of per square footage. Now, naturally, this building is not the most investor-friendly building, right? So in terms of small complaints that one can make about this building, for instance, is the fact that the maintenance per square foot is pretty high. In some instances, you're looking at 90 cents to $1 per square foot in terms of maintenance. So obviously, it's not the best option for those end users who have, once again, prioritize resale value or growth potential. Not to say this won't go whatsoever, but of course it's going to grow less than other options available. But that small complaint, whether it's due to the maintenance issue or the larger vicinity around the building or the fact that the building is older, in my professional opinion, for end users who are looking for cheap and affordable properties that are actually quality, is offset by the very quality, the very value proposition of a family-friendly community that these buildings provide you. Anyways, let's move forward. Let's go all the way to Richmond Hill, where we take a look at 18 Harding. Built by Green Park Homes, residing at the major intersection of Yonge and Major Mac, 18 Harding has been selling for around $860 to $875 per square foot within the last year. And it's only a 12-year-old building. Out of the 48 condos within the Richmond Hill condo market, this building ranks 21st in terms of being the most expensive. Once again, comparing it to some of the more pricier buildings, for instance, the Oneida buildings all the way at Yonge and High Tech, or the Malibu condos right at Yonge and 16th Avenue. By comparison, this is a much cheaper and more affordable building, both on an average price basis and per square foot basis. But once again, sticking to the theme of this video, it's cheap but quality. The concierge and staff are always on point here, very well organized. There's ample visitor and unit owner parking, and is right on Yonge Street, right? Like you step out and Yonge Street is right there, especially with the latest revitalization attempts and project underway on Yonge Street in terms of getting the Viva bus lanes, much like Highway 7. Sure, in my professional opinion, is not the most, logistically efficient way to do things, but there's no doubt that it has a positive impact on property value. So it's quite close to public transport and the main artery, Yonge Street. And once again, it's not some magic formula. The reason this is a quality building is because of the resident base. It's very end user friendly, no Airbnbs, respectful neighbors, directly across the Richmond Hill Public Library and very close to downtown Richmond Hill. The condominium corporation is in a healthy state. They have great reserve fund, no pending lawsuits. All you can really ask for. And as always, once again, this is not a perfect building. There are slight complaints to be had, such as the soundproofing in this building is probably the biggest issue. Sound travels quite easily from the hallway to the units, but between the units, the soundproofing isn't absolutely fantastic by any means, but it's serviceable for sure. And you might say, Sam, well, that's not good, right? Soundproofing is important, and I agree with you, but a lot of affordable, cheap buildings that first-time home buyers kind of flock towards not only have the soundproofing issue, but have a multitude of different problems. Bad property management, an unhealthy reserve fund, bad financials, pending lawsuits, bad organization, poor and cheap builds and finishes in the unit. So for all the condos I've listed thus far, I have listed some complaints, but these complaints, you have to understand, are because no condo building, as I prefaced earlier, is perfect. Let's swing all the way back down to downtown Toronto at 140 Simcoe. This is yet another building that, relatively speaking, sells for a relatively cheap per square foot price and average sold prices or median sold prices. But when we take a look at this building, 140 Simcoe, really located at the major intersection of Simcoe and Queen, where Osgood subway station is, If we were to take a look at comparable buildings such as 215 Queen Street, which is a building that is highly sought after, really popular with international students and working professionals. Essentially with this building, 140 Simcoe, you get 80 to 90% of the end user experience that you would get with 215 Queen Street, but for far less of a price, because at 215 Queen Street, you're looking at something around $1,300 to $1,400 per square foot, but with 140 Simcoe, you're looking at around $1,020 to $1,040 per square foot. Now, keep in mind, this is the most expensive, cheap, affordable building we've discussed so far on this list. But once again, we have to take it in with context relative to what's around. What are the alternatives? We're looking at a building that's literally mere seconds away, and it's at $1,400 per square foot. Now that happens to be, once again, a much newer, sexier building and a good building in its own right. But this building, 140 Simcoe, in my opinion, provides a very good end user experience in a very centrally located area of downtown Toronto, where the residents make up people working in the financial district or in the healthcare industry mere seconds away on University. And this building has some of the best studio units I've ever seen. Actually, one of the only buildings I've shown where the studio units have a proper kitchen island that divides the kitchen and sleeping area. But one of the reasons is on a cheaper side, once again, $1,000 per square foot plus, so relative to the area, but nonetheless on the cheaper end of things, is because number one, once again, it's older. People just for some reason do not like older buildings. I can't comprehend it, but if you're an end user, I think some of the best buildings are older buildings. Number two, there is a homeless issue right at the lobby of this building. There is a Tim Hortons there as well that adds to the homeless issue. And look, I'm very, very empathetic to the homeless problem. Just this Christmas, yesterday, me and my fiance, we went out and we gave gifts to the homeless. So I'm very empathetic, but there is no doubt that the homeless problem, when there are encampments around the building, kind of downgrade the resale value. Furthermore, some of the exposures, particularly the south, I would say the southwestern exposures, are not the best. You're once again viewing a courtyard and a docking station. But overall, on the balance of things, this building is a cheap and affordable building within downtown Toronto that offers a very good end user lifestyle within a centrally located portion of downtown Toronto. And as I'm going through the list, there's like literally 4 or 5 other buildings that I want to add in this video that I did the research for, but maybe we're gonna leave that for a part 2. So let me know if you want to see a part 2 of this as well, because unfortunately there's no way I'm able to get through all the buildings I listed and the research for this video. So let me know if you want to see a part 2 of this. Also, as a lot of you have said, you want to see a part 2 of Toronto Condo Buildings to avoid, and a part 1 of Toronto Condo Buildings I believe are absolutely fantastic, that I would list at the highest of echelons within the Toronto condo market. And honestly, you guys motivate me to make more in-detailed, more in-depth videos. So as always, I really appreciate your viewership, and I would appreciate if you subscribe and give a like to this video. It really helps with the algorithm. As always, this is Sam from SaberiSixRealEstate, RE/MAX Realty Inc. Thank you very much for watching. Stay safe and stay tuned. Thank you.